If we do have issues, we may switch to Switcher and I'll post the video up for you guys. You will also see the video come up on Rumble if the stream is attacked again. Let's get it, guys. Hello, my name is David Jose, and I'm coming to you to talk to you about a very important subject today. I know that many of us across the country can see the multiple pursuits of President Donald Trump with the Russia Gate and the whole this for that false hoax and the false claims that he tried to get Georgia's representatives to give him the election. There were so many different things that were done wrong that actually show that he is being pursued by government actors and by agents in order to mess up his campaigns, his chances of running. And if we're really going to be honest about things, we also realize that his whole presidency, for the whole 4 years that he was in office, he spent very much of his time trying to fight off accusations of different things that people said he did wrong, different things that people actually planned to set him up in, planned to get him in trouble with when he was supposed to be working for the people. Now, you should look at this and you should kind of wonder why it is I'm not an attorney. A young man of color is actually coming here talking to you, not looking like government, not looking like an attorney, but talking to you about simple things that have to do with your nation, your responsibilities, your obligations that you may have never been taught. Now, when we look at what's happening with President Trump, we realize that he has been indicted. We realize that he has been ridiculed. News outlets have come together, and somehow they seem to be working together with government officials in order to make it look like he is doing wrong. Now, in all of these pursuits, they've never been able to find anything that they could prosecute him for, but they just continue and continue and continue. Now, at the same time, we see that there's other politicians in America that have done things wrong, have done things that are more than questionable, and we can't even get the government actors to investigate. Now, is this video about President Trump? It's really not. This video is about doing what's right. So I got to ask again, why would a man of color, a young man of color, be actually coming to you, talking about these things, trying to understand what it is that is happening and what your role is? Why would that happen? The reason that it would happen is because I can see the difference between right and wrong. I can see that things are happening that make no sense. So what I want to do is show you your power to fix this and why you're not being taught these things. I want to show you that you don't have to beg, you don't have to plead, but the people have the power to make corrections when things like this happen. Let's check out what I'm talking about. Oh wait, I got to remind you guys, please like and share this video. Get it out to everybody. If you're on Switcher, get it out to everybody. If you're on Rumble, make sure you stop what you're doing. Share this video. Share it on Twitter, Facebook, and all the other apps, guys. This is super important. Let's keep going. Now, the first place that I want to go to show you your power to fix these situations and why you're not taught is going to be the Bill of Rights and the Kentucky Constitution. Now, what I want to do is I want to go to text of section 2 so we can understand our roles and duties and who we are. Now, I want you to know that coming from a man of color, you are not a slave. You are not a slave. So if you're looking at what it is that's happening in this country and you don't like it, there are some things that you have to do. Let's check out section 2. It says, absolute and arbitrary power over the lives, liberty, and property of free men exists nowhere in a republic, not even in the largest majority. So what I need you to understand is there has been attack on your life, your liberty, even during COVID, with you not being able to go outside. There's been an attack on your property, ATF attacking your weapons. There's been an attack on how you raise your children, which is another liberty interest. But the problem is that doesn't exist for free men. So you're not a slave, you're free. So when people try to control your life, that's not how things work in a republic. Now, let's go deeper. It says here, not even in the largest majority. Why does it say that? The reason it says that is because politicians, even though we allow them to be able to vote for how they're going to take care of policy in America, they don't have the right to rule over your life, your liberty, or your property. And we have not been told that. But one thing that's even more important is the fact that the people have a right to control the state. The people have a right to come together and pursue their safety and happiness as a state. They have a right to look at what is their common good. Look at this. In the 6th, the right of assembling together in a peaceable manner for their common good. That's what we're doing now. We need to realize, what do we need to do to save this nation, to bring the government back under control, and what are our duties? Watch this. And applying to those invested with the power of government for redress of grievances or other purposes. Notice it's left open. The other purposes could be correcting government when they're wrong, showing them how they're using our courts unlawfully, showing them how they're using our executive branch unlawfully, showing them how they're writing statute unlawfully, right? Now, how can we approach them? By petition, address, or remonstrance. Now, we got to ask a question. How many times have we addressed the government as the president does a State of the Union address, and he comes and he tells about what's going on in the nation and what he sees? How many times have we come to the government and told them what's going on in the nation and what we see? Or even remonstrance, which actually is a strong rebuke when something is wrong. How many times? Let's go deeper. Now let's look at Georgia Constitution. This is going to be Origin and Structure Government, Section 2 of the Bill of Rights. Watch this. All government of right originates with the people, is founded upon their will only. Now, how many of you are actually expressing your will, letting the government know what you want, and is not based on what they want? The government sometimes feels like they get to tell you what to do, but this is not how it's supposed to be. Watch this. And it's instituted solely for the good of the whole. Public officers are the trustees and servants of the people, and are at all times amenable to them. Where did that say leader? We do not have leaders in government. We have gotten it twisted and we have gotten it backwards. They are only our trustees and they are servants, and they are not allowed to just do what they want to do. What's the purpose of government, guys? Watch this. Object of government. The people of the state have the inherent right. And if you have an inherent right in one state, you have it in every state. Inherent rights come from God. Inherent right of regulating their internal government. Guys, we're supposed to be fixing this. We're supposed to regulate the government, not the other way around. Government is instituted for the protection, security, and benefit of the people. Guys, how is $5 a gallon gas benefiting you? How is closing down jobs and pipelines benefiting you? How is it benefiting you to stop you from going to work and stop your kids from going to school? It is not. Watch this. And at all times, they, meaning the people, have the right. We got a right to do something. It didn't say we have a right to chase ballots. It didn't say we have a right to beg government to do us right. It didn't say we have a right to ask William Barr or the new Attorney General to fix things. It didn't say that. It says they have a right to alter or reform the same whenever the public good may require it. So guys, whenever the public good requires it, the people can change the government. Okay guys, so we're only a few minutes in and you already see that we have a responsibility to regulate government as an inherent power. Now, how come people aren't teaching us about this? We see big names out there. I've been trying to talk to Carrie Lake. I stopped. I've been trying to talk to other people. And what I realize is that our government servants and the politicians don't really understand how the government is made up. They may have heard, they may have seen the success we have in different areas, but they're not really focused on trying to teach you what you can do to truly be in power and to make change. And so we get caught up in all these different things, these different minute ideas that may or may not do a little bit or may get you in trouble, when we could be focusing on really stopping our servants from doing what's wrong. Remember that they're trustees and servants. And when a trustee acts out of line, the law tells us what we can do. As the people, we are what's called trust protectors. We actually have the guaranteed right to alter or reform anything that's not working the way that it's supposed to. Now, if you don't believe me or you think that one state just says this, let's go into other states so we can get a better understanding of who you are, what power you have, and what you can do. Okay, guys, let's check it out. Article 1, Missouri Constitution, text of Section 2. That all constitutional government is intended to promote the general welfare of the people, that all persons have a natural right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the enjoyment of the gains of their own industry, that all persons are created equal and are entitled to equal rights and opportunity under the law, that to give security to these things is the principal office of government. That's what they're here for. And that when the government does not confer this security, it fails in its chief design. Now, quickly, let's go to Section 3. Powers over the people over internal affairs, constitution, and form of government. Guys, do we have to sit here and watch the wrong being done by government? Do we have to allow them to persecute those who decide to do good things like Liz Harris in Arizona or like President Trump? Watch this. That the people of this state have the inherent, once again, it's inherent, it comes from God, sole and exclusive right to regulate the internal government and police or policy thereof and to alter and abolish their constitution and form of government whenever they may deem it necessary to their safety and happiness, provided that such change be not repugnant to the Constitution of the United States. Now, guys, quick question. We need to look deeply into these things and realize, do we have a right to change the Constitution and form of government whenever we deem it necessary? Okay, guys, now we got to slow down and we got to recognize some things that are mighty powerful in what we just saw. It just told us that we have the power inherently as the people that whenever we deem it necessary or however we deem it necessary, we have the power to change the Constitution, change the government. What does that mean? Guys, this literally means when the government is acting out of line, when the government is not following the law, when the government is doing whatever they want to do and ignoring the people have a right to look and say, you have failed in your chief design. Now, if they fail in their chief design, do we have to keep paying them? Do we have to keep contracting with them? Do we have to wait until the next election? Do we have to wait until they give us permission to be free again? No. We actually have the ability to change the government, which means get rid of all of the people, some of the people, however we want to do it, without recalls, without all this foolishness. We can literally change it if we see that it's necessary for our happiness and safety. Guys, we don't have to wait until the nation falls apart. We don't have to see them get rid of every single pipeline. We don't have to see them lose all the food in our stores. We don't have to see them punish the good government actors, guys, that have actually taken care of business. Now, I wasn't raised up Democrat or Republican. I wasn't raised up to look at politics. My dad didn't teach me political things. My dad taught me to do what is right, to stand up for those who are in need, to tell the truth, to build people up, to give people praise or their props is what he calls it, when they did good things, and to say what is wrong. That's what my dad raised me up to do. So when I see what's happening in this nation, and I've been blessed by God to understand that something is wrong, I realize that we should not be looking to government servants or presidents or kings or anybody special or anybody with a big name to lead us to do what we already have the inherent right from God to do. Now, if you are one of those people who are saying we must wait on our politicians to fix stuff, or we can't do it without DeSantis, or we can't do it without Trump, or we can't do it without Kerry, I want to tell you that you might be trusting in something that God doesn't want us to trust. As a matter of fact, I'll show you. Now, in order to help you see this, I want to just take you to the scripture for those of you that believe. Psalm chapter 118, we're going to start at verse 8. It says, "It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. All nations compass me about, but in the name of the Lord will I destroy them. They compass me about, yea, they compass me about, but in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. They compass me about like bees. They are quenched as the fire of thorns. For in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. Thou hast thrust sore at me that I might fall." They tried to make him fall. They tried to destroy him, but the Lord helped me. The Lord is my strength and song, and is become my salvation. See, guys, I want you to see that the psalmist understood that following what it is that the Lord wished for him, following the Lord and believing in him, is what was necessary in order to be able to destroy all the nations that were encompassed round about him. Meaning that he can look out and see armies attacking from every direction, but he knew in the name of the Lord he would win. Now, guys, I want you to understand that it is the Lord God that gave us the inherent right to regulate our servants. When we have a nation that God allows us to create, and we put it together, and the government officials agree to contract terms or covenant that they will follow what it is that the people have required in order to be paid and work as politicians, we got to get back to the fundamental principles of understanding that good faith must be observed. You don't have the right to just do whatever you want to do. That is true in the Bible, and that is true in the law. Now, in order to show that to you more clearly, because the real issue is that conservative people are seeing that there's some issues, but not knowing that they can lawfully correct these things. And because they don't know that they can lawfully correct these things, they don't take action. A lot of people are watching what's happening even with President Trump, and they're trying to figure out, how do we make this right? How do we do something? And then we get people who get you mixed up in your mind, and they start saying things like, we need to get armed and go stand at the Capitol, or we need to chase ballots, or we need to act like the liberals who are doing wrong act. We don't need to do any of that. We need to do that which is right. And in order to do that which is right, we need to read what is right. And we need to hold our government servants to what is called good faith. In order to give you an understanding of this, I'm going to go into a book that deals with maxims of law that has been hidden from us for a very long time. The maxims are actually the fundamental principles that you can read about in many of the state constitutions that explain that the government are supposed to follow them. And these fundamental principles are fairness, virtue, righteousness, protecting the people, standing by your oath. All of these things are fundamental, but nobody's taught us. So when you want to take action and you want to be the most powerful and you want to be the best and you want to reclaim this government, you don't have the tools. But not today. We are going to change this and go deep into what our founding fathers, our forefathers of law, and those who were brilliant with keeping up with the maxims of law had to say. Let's check it out. Okay, guys, just for good measure and disclosure, we are going to be looking at a book called A Selection of Maxims of Law, an English version. It is compiled and edited by Charles A. Weisman, Weisman, with over 1,600 maxims listed under 105 different subject headings being alphabetically arranged. Now, this is Weisman Publications, Burnsville, Minnesota, 1990, just for your resources. Now, let me help you understand why the government must do what it is that we show needs to be done. Now, if you look at 50C here under good faith, it says, good faith demands that what is agreed upon shall be done. Now, let's understand this. See, I heard Carrie Lake speak recently about the what's going on with the elections, and I hear her and her team, and they talk about how the left is doing things that are questionable or in a gray area. They may not be illegal, but she believes that in their cases, they found that the judges said that you can kind of go by election procedure. You don't really have to. See, all of these things are issues that deal with fundamental law that I wish they could see, but they're just not in tune with what the real law says, and they're not seeking it. They believe what attorneys have been taught. And this is part of the problem. This is why we're not getting remedy in America. The same thing happened with Trump. The same thing happened with many businesses that shut down, farms that got shut down. It happened because we didn't know what it is that the government was supposed to do. Therefore, we could not hold them to good faith. But watch this. Good faith demands that what is agreed upon shall be done. So if we agree on how elections are going to be done, we agree that you can't be dead and vote. We agree that the ballots have to go to the treasurer or have to be put away this way and sealed this way. If you don't do it, you are not following good faith. Let's look at 50D. Good faith must be observed. Now, guys, we need to understand that good faith is a biblical principle. It's a biblical idea that you're going to do what you agreed to do. Now, let's see if this is true even in law and government. 51B, the government is to be subject to the law, for the law makes the government. So what the people put in the original Constitution, the government has to follow. The statute that comes after it, that's constitutional, they must follow. What they agree to do, they must do. Watch this. 51C, obedience makes the government. See, they are not out here just doing what they want to do. They are supposed to be following the people. Obedience makes the government, not the name by which it is called. See, people like to run around and say they're government officers. They want to run around and say I'm a governor, but they don't want to do the job of the governor. So this is what we need to understand. Look at 51D. The laws themselves desire that they should be governed by right. See, guys, what we need to understand is that the people who get into government positions are the ones who have to follow the law, right? The laws were made for them to do what they are supposed to do. And when they swear to do it, they must in good faith follow it. Watch this, 51K. The law is not to be violated by those in government. See, they're not telling you these things, guys, and we got to understand this. Now, people will say, well, they're taking away our rights from us. Well, wait 1 second. 51I, individual liberties, not collective. See, they want you to believe you can vote to collectively have your rights protected every couple of years. No. Remember, we alter and abolish government at will if we see that our happiness and safety is not secured, and that's individually too. Watch this. Individual liberties, 51I, are antecedent to all government. It's before. Our rights were here before them. It's going to be here when they're in office and is there after them. We don't need them to protect our rights. If they want to get silly, we can remove them. 51K, the law is not to be violated by those in government. Now, some people say, well, David, it is so bad right now. What are we going to do? It seems like the time has gone too far to be able to fix things. 51L. Lapse of time does not bar the Commonwealth. See, guys, these people don't want you to know that they have to follow what it is that they swore to, which is a biblical idea. But they do. And you have the power to control them. You have the power that comes from God to make sure they do us right. But some of you may not believe that because you have not been taught the law and the secrets that the law contains, things from the Bible. Let's see. 51O. All political power is inherent in the people by decree of God. Thus, none can exist except it be derived from them. You're wondering why the government servants are going out doing wrong, prosecuting people unlawfully, stealing people's property, going after Trump, lying on him, raiding his house, making up fake accusations against him, making up Russia collusion. This is American maxim that they don't have power to do anything but what we grant them. Where did we grant them the power to attack someone who sat in office as a president for us? Look at 51P. The main object of government is the protection and preservation of personal rights. That's our rights, private property, and public liberties, and upholding the law of God. They won't tell you in the law that they're supposed to be upholding the law of God, because then it becomes a greater requirement to do that which is right, to have virtue, to have righteousness, to make sure that there's peace, to make sure that you're not stealing from the people. Guys, we are in a situation of tyranny right now because the government doesn't know their duties. We don't know our rights and duties, so we can't correct them. We should be bringing them to a frequent recurrence, guys, to these fundamental principles in order to keep them in line. Let's let the maxims tell us. 51Q. A frequent recurrence to fundamental principles, we got to tell them a lot, and a firm adherence to what? Justice, virtue, and original law. Where does original law come from? The people. Are indispensably necessary to preserve the blessings of liberty and good government. Guys, this is why we are having issues right now. This is why we are seeing people usurp authority. 51R, watch. As usurpation is the exercise of power which another has a right to, so tyranny is the exercise of power beyond right, which nobody can have a right to. Guys, we never gave these people a right to do the things that they are doing. Now, as you can see, there are some issues with our schooling. Why is it that we haven't learned any of this in school? Why is it that we don't realize and know that we are to hold them to biblical principles like virtue, righteousness, honesty, upholding the law of God? Why would they hide that from us? I mean, in school, they told us that our forefathers hated God. They were hedonists and all these different things. Why do they not want us to know that we should be able to hold them accountable like this? Now, some of you might say, well, David, we don't like that you're talking about the Bible now. We're turned off. But the issue you're going to have is that your forefathers wrote the constitutions based on the Bible, and common law, which is the law that is common to all men in America, is based on Christianity. Yes, I said it. You may not even believe me. But see, it's not about what I say, because I'm a nothing. I'm a nobody. I'm just a regular man. But if we look at what is written, we're going to find that the common law is based on Christianity. Common law is based on the Bible. And the secret is to having justice and freedom is to be able to know that which is right and wrong. In the scriptures, it tells us that in the end times, right is going to be considered wrong and wrong is going to be considered right. So that means that they're going to be able to program people to get them to believe things that are opposite from reality and the truth. And we're seeing this happening today. We get people who say things like, well, I don't know. I mean, if the government, they're going to lie because that's what they do. Attorneys lie, but then they still praise attorneys and they're still praising the government when they're liars, and they believe they just have to accept it. And then they start forcing things on you, like forcing your kids to go to transgender study hour and things like that. And we know that something ain't right, but we don't remember that these things are looked at as wrong in God's eyes because people have tricked us to separate the government from God and righteousness in the government from God. But is this how it really is supposed to be? Let's look into this. Okay, guys, get ready. I want you to strap on your seatbelts. Look at 49F. That is the highest law which favors religion. Would you look at that? 49G. That consideration is strongest which determines in favor of religion. Now we got to go deeper now. 49I. The Christian religion is a part of the common law. The Christian religion is a part of the common law. Guys, this is why it's been hidden from us. Okay, so are we starting to see a pattern in what they have hidden from us? How is it that I, a man from the ghetto, who is a man of color, who history would say that my people were slaves, how is it that I have been allowed or able to see something that is written in the law that none of us have been taught? How is it that the nation is moving and functioning, but we're not upholding our responsibility to make sure the government servants follow the law? How is it that we don't know the fundamental law? They write statutes all day and night to say that they could do things, but no statute is to be written that goes against the common law. No statute is to be written that goes against the original law. It is null and void. So now we got to think about it and wonder, how is it that attorneys and government officials, when they want to tell us what they can do, they always start at a statute? They never talk to us about original law. They never talk to us about the fact that they're not supposed to be able to use our power against us. As a matter of fact, when they use our power against us, it's what's called a breach of trust, and they lose all of their power. Now, is that true? Can I prove that? See, I should never be able to say anything to you that I cannot prove. So what we should do is we need to go look at the writing of our great forefathers of law, not forefathers, but forefathers of law. And we need to see what it is that is supposed to be done by our government, what they're doing wrong, and what are our remedies. See, a lot of people want to just come and talk before you. They want to say words like, we the people, because they heard us say it. They want to say things like, we're going to stand and fight. We're going to push. They want to have rallies, but they're not giving you real remedy. We got to get to the point where we stop looking with the flesh. We got to stop looking at how cute they are, how well dressed they are, and how nice their suits are, and how expensive they are, what name they have, and what college they went to. We got to start looking at, are they giving you remedy? Are they showing you your power, or are they just trying to stay in power? See, it's not a tough thing for a government official to tell you certain things to stay in power as long as they're getting the ability to enjoy the power. It is hard for them when they have to do something in order to make sure that you know your power and you can stand. And that's where they're making the mistakes. That's where they're not standing up, and that's where they're not telling you the truth. So I want to go into the real fundamentals of law. We're going to look at John Locke. He is an authority, an English authority, who a lot of our country's law actually comes from. What we're going to do is we're going to look at John Locke, and we are going to read, like I said, 2 treatises of government, and we're going to look at what the government is supposed to do, what we are supposed to do, what we have the power to do, and how we fix things. And then soon after, we will be wrapping up. This video will be yours. But everybody, please share this though. Make sure you stop and share. I should have said this before. Everybody stop and share this video. Get it all over the place, because we have to stop this foolishness. We have to stop this wrong, and it is our duty to do it. Nobody told us, but we can fix it. So everybody stop, share this video all over, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it on to your contacts and your emails, share it to your text messages, right? Text message everybody. Tell them to watch this video. Guys, it is time for us to be educated and to change the way that things go. So please share this video out, guys. And we are going to go check out John Locke. Okay, guys, this is section 171 in John Locke's 2 treatises of government. It is going to blow your mind. It's going to help you to see exactly what we're facing in today's society, what's happening, how we fix it, what our duties are, what our powers are. So watch this. It's a little bit different because America is a republic and they're just our servants. So they're not governors over us or anything like that. We're not their subjects. We actually control them. So you have to kind of read this understanding that. But let's look. Secondly, political power is that power which every man having in the state of nature has given up into the hands of society, and therein to the governors whom the society hath set over itself. So we don't have government over ourselves. We actually have servants that just handle our business. But you should be able to see the parallels. With this express or tacit trust, it is a written trust, guys, in America, that it shall be employed for their good and the preservation of their property. Now this power which every man has in the state of nature, and which part which he parts with to the society in all such cases where the society can secure him, is to use such means for the preserving of his own property as he thinks good and nature allows him, and to punish the breach of the law of nature in others, so as, according to the best of his reason, may most conduce to the preservation of himself and the rest of mankind, so that the end and measure of this power, when in every man's hands, in the state of nature, being the preservation of all of his society, that is, all mankind in general, it can have no other end or measure, when in the hands of the magistrate or the government servant, but to preserve the members of that society in their lives, liberty, and possessions, and so cannot be an absolute arbitrary power over their lives and fortunes, which are as much as possible to be preserved, but a power to make laws and annex such penalties to them as may tend to the preservation of the whole. Watch this. By cutting off those parts, and those only which are so corrupt that they threaten the sound and healthy, without which no severity is lawful. And this power has its original only from compact and agreement and the mutual consent of those that make up the community. Now, guys, we need to understand that we have the power to fix these things, and we have the power to punish and remove those parts of the government or that which we create that would tend to go against the peace of mankind. This is what we have the power to do. Now, guys, I want you to understand that there is a time when you dissolve the government actors or they dissolve themselves. And dissolving the government is not the same thing as dissolving the society. We still will have a society if we decide to dissolve that which is government, which is in government, which is wrong. Look at 2:11. He that will with any clearness speak of the dissolution of government ought to first place, He that will with any clearness speak of the dissolution of government ought in the first place to distinguish between the dissolution of the society and the dissolution of the government. That which makes the community and brings men out of the loose state of nature into one politic society is the agreement which everyone has with the rest to incorporate and act as one body and so be one distinct commonwealth. So guys, understand that the people have a power to come together and to create a society by agreement. Create a society by agreement. They start off as just people who have power to take care of their own affairs and own lives. We need to understand, guys, that once that happens, that things, they make an agreement to come together, they are now one body politic, right? So all the states, they incorporate, all the states are corporate entities on purpose. Don't let anybody tell you that we're not supposed to be corporate entities as states. It's foolishness. This is how we do it. Now, 2:14. First, that when such a single person or prince sets up his own arbitrary will in place of the laws, which are the will of the society declared by the legislature or the people who wrote the original law in our sense, then the legislative is changed. So when you change the legislative or you change the original law, you dissolve yourself as the government. You dissolve your power. For that being, in effect, the legislative whose rules and laws are put in execution and required to be obeyed, when other laws are set up and other rules pretended and enforced than what the legislative constituted by the society. So in our society, guys, we constituted governments that would follow us and serve us and do what we tell them to do. That is the original law. So if they don't follow the original or fundamental law, they dissolve their power. This is why we're getting in trouble today, but we have remedy, and I'm going to show you. Watch this. Whoever introduces new laws, not being their unto authorized by the fundamental appointment of society, that's the Constitution's rewriting the states, watch this, or subverts the old, disowns and overturns the power by which they were made, and so sets up a new legislative. So, guys, they can't write statute that will overrun what we said in the state constitutions and the federal. So when these people are changing election law and doing all these things wrong that we never told them they could do, they end up going against the people's power and rights, and they destroy the nation. They destroy the state. They remove their power by their own acts. 215. Secondly, when the prince hinders the legislative from assembling in his due time or from acting freely. So when the legislature is blocked from acting freely, pursuant to those. Now, notice that Arizona legislature tried to put election integrity laws in, and the governor vetoed everything, or almost everything. They're blocking the legislature from acting freely with the things that the legislature already swore to do. Article 7, Section 12 of Arizona Constitution tells us clearly that there shall be laws passed to strengthen the election franchise and block it from encroachments. Period. So if that's the case, Katie Hobbs already swore to that. Why is she now vetoing everything? Watch this. It says, if the legislature or from acting freely pursuant to those ends for which it was constituted, the reasons we put it together, which we put in Article 7, Section 12, the legislative is altered. We can have them impeach Katie Hobbs right now, and they should be removed if they won't follow the law. Watch this. For it is not a certain number of men, nor their meeting, unless they have also the freedom of debating and leisure of perfecting what is good, what is for the good of the society, wherein the legislative consists. When these are taken away or altered so as to deprive the society of the due exercise of their power, the legislative is truly altered. For it is not names that constitute governments, but the use and exercise of those powers that were intended to accompany them. So that he who takes away the freedom or hinders the acting of the legislative in his due seasons, in effect, take away the legislative and puts an end to the government. Guys, they are doing things that put an end to the government. We need to take back our power by doing that which is the proper remedy. Now, we know about the election law or the election procedures that were changed. We see in the Lake case them complaining about the judge not holding the government to good faith, but they don't understand the fundamental principles of law to deal with it, and they ignore it. So it will never be fixed by them. Look at 216. Thirdly, when by the arbitrary power of the prince or whoever is in office, the electors or ways of elections are altered without the consent and contrary to the common interests of the people. That is exactly what happened around the country. They changed election law. They changed election procedures. They changed the ways elections are ran. It says there also the legislative is altered. For if others than those whom the society hath authorized thereunto do choose, or in another way than what the society hath prescribed, those chosen are not the legislative appointed by the people. I'm going to just say this really quickly for you guys who are concerned about the government turning us over to the World Health Organizations and these other entities. 217. Fourthly, the delivery also of the people into the subjection of a foreign power, either by the prince or by the legislative, is certainly a change of the legislative and so a dissolution of the government. For the end why people entered into society being to be preserved one entire free independent society to be governed by its own laws, this is lost whenever they are given up into the power of another. Now, I need you guys to understand that this is where the people have the power to fix things. This is where you're able to stand on your rights and your power to correct. we're going to look at 218, and then we'll probably look at 220, because it kind of tells what we have the power to do, and it's going to introduce you to the remedy. 218, why in such a constitution as this, the dissolution of government in these cases is to be imputed to the prince is evident, because he, having the force, now this would be the people because we have the force, treasure, and offices of the state to employ, and often persuading himself or being flattered by others that, as supreme magistrate, he is incapable of control, he alone is in the condition to make great advances towards such changes under pretense of lawful authority. So the people have the power. When we see that the government is out of control, they don't want to do us right, they want to, change things without our permission, we are able to take back over. He alone is in a condition to make great advances towards such changes under pretense of lawful authority, and has it in his hands to terrify or suppress opposers as factious, seditious, and enemies to the government. So when he or the people would stand up and say that you guys are going against the goodness and happiness of mankind, we have the power to stop anything that's wrong. Now, a prince would be able to do this in that type of land, the people in ours. Whereas no other part of the legislative or people is capable by themselves to attempt any alteration of the legislative without open and visible rebellion, apt enough to be taken notice of, which, when it prevails, produces effect very little different from foreign conquest. Besides, the prince, in such a form of government, having the power of dissolving the other parts of the legislative and thereby rendering them private persons. So guys, understand the prince, and in our states, the people have a right to turn them back to private persons immediately. We don't have to wait. Watch this. They can never, in any opposition to him, they can't fight back, guys. It's unlawful to, or without his concurrence, alter the legislative by a law, his consent being necessary to give any of their decrees that sanction. But yet, so far as the other parts of the legislative any way contribute to any attempt upon the government and do either promote or not what lies in them, hinder such designs, they are guilty. See, if they try to stop you from standing up against what is wrong in government, with the people having all political power and the right to alter, reform, and abolish, they are guilty of insurrection against the people. This is the real law, guys. And partake in this, which is certainly the greatest crime men can be guilty of one toward another. Guys, it would actually be treason. It will actually be treason for them to stop us from correcting our states, starting over if we need to, removing persons. 219, watch this. There is one way more whereby such a government may be dissolved, and that is when he who has the supreme executive power, like Katie Hobbs, neglects and abandons that charge. Biden neglecting and abandoning his charge. He's tearing up the nation. He's giving favor to our enemies. He's hurting the people's industry. He's hurting the borders so that the laws already made can no longer be put in execution. This is demonstratively to reduce all to anarchy and so effectively to dissolve the government. For laws not being made for themselves, but to be by their execution the bonds of the society, to keep every part of the body politic in its due place and function. When that totally ceases, the government visibly ceases, and the people become a confused multitude without order or connection, where there is no longer the administration of justice for the securing of men's rights, nor any remaining power within the community to direct the force or provide for the necessities of the public. There certainly is no government left. Where the laws cannot be executed, it is all one as if there were no laws. And a government without laws is, I suppose, a mystery in politics, inconceivable to human capacity and inconsistent with human society. Guys, we don't just have to accept what's being done wrong. We don't have to let them run our government into the ground. To lie and say that we can wait until we do another election, guys, is a hoax. It is a bunch of garbage, and we cannot stand for it. Guys, we are being lulled to sleep. We are being tricked by people on the right and people on the left who tell us to keep fighting, to stand, and to them fighting is a rally. To them fighting is to vote in elections that we know are maladministered. It doesn't make sense. So let's see in 220 the remedy. This is what we can actually do, guys. This is where we have power, where we can stand. 220. In these and the like cases, when the government is dissolved, the people are at liberty. We got liberty to do something, y'all, to provide for themselves by erecting a new legislative differing from the other by how? By the change of persons or form or both. So we have the power and right, guys, to remove all the people today if we decide to come together and do it. The right to change the form. We can change the Constitution. We can change both, as they shall find it most for their safety and good. It's based on what we feel we need to do. We assemble together and we decide. We don't need them to do this. We don't need a governor. We don't need a marshal. All these guys running around telling you the military is going to come save us. It's a hoax, guys. It is a way to keep you stuck still while you lose your nation. The military are just servants. You don't talk to the military. You don't teach the military. So why would you think that you can change what the military does? It is foolishness. And our state constitutions tell us that the military is to be in strict subjection to the civil power. So you can't tell the military to come fix America. It is our duty. Watch this. For the society can never, by the fault of another, lose the native and original right. That's what we have. It has to preserve itself, which can only be done by a settled legislative and a fair and impartial execution of the laws made by it. But the state of mankind is not so miserable that they are not capable of using, watch this remedy. See, guys, this is a real remedy. This is what we're supposed to do. We are supposed to change the constitutions. There's nothing wrong with changing the Constitution, number one. People say we can't change constitutions. It's a sacred document. No, our forefathers left it so we can change constitutions. When the government start doing stuff that we couldn't see, we improve upon it. That's why the United States Constitution was created, to form a more perfect union. There was a union that was there, but it wasn't perfect. So they wanted to get it more perfect, right? You'll never reach full perfection, but you can always improve. And when you find errors where the government isn't working correctly, sometimes you got to change the people and change the Constitution to block that from ever happening again. That's what you call righteousness and correcting things to protect your future children. Look what it says. But the state of mankind is not so miserable that they are not capable of using this remedy till it be too late to look for any. To tell the people they may provide for themselves by erecting a new legislative, when by oppression, artifice, or being delivered over to a foreign power, their old one is gone, is only to tell them that they may expect relief when it's too late. Guys, we don't need to wait. And the evil is past cure. Let's cure this, guys. This is, in effect, no more than to bid themselves first be slaves, and then to take care of their liberty. And when their chains are on, tell them they may act like free men. This, if barely so, is rather mockery than relief. And men can never be secure from tyranny if there be no means to escape it till they are perfectly under it. And therefore, it is that they have not only a right to get out of it, but to prevent it. They have a right to prevent it. Now, guys, I know that was a lot of reading, but this is truly important stuff. We are not being taught this in schools. So in the description, I am going to put a Telegram link to a private Telegram group where we are going to be able to get notices that we are going to send to government to correct all of this. And in that group, we're going to be able to come together and assemble and make plans to correct all of this with real remedy, real law. Guys, I have shown you what the law says. I have shown you what we have the power to do. What's happening to Trump is a byproduct of all the wrong that's been put in place over decades. What's happening to Trump is a travesty. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. He is being attacked over and over and over again. And guys, I got to tell you, where I was not raised Democrat or Republican, I can see wrong. This which is happening is wrong. And if you want to get notices and affidavits to be able to join together with us to stop this wrong, it will be there in the Telegram group in the description if you're on Rumble. If you are on the Switcher player, I'm going to need you to reach out to me on Telegram at Dave Cares For You, or go to the Rumble video, and I'll put it in the description of the Rumble video so that you can actually click on and get into these groups and get things going. I am at Dave Cares For You on Rumble. Guys, I'm here to let you know that we can stop this. We can fix this. Our forefathers stopped what the King of England was doing and fixed it, and that's how we got America. You can do the same. You don't have to wait on these servants. Look at Christian Lamar, the beautiful man from Arizona who ran to be elected into office. He did not make it. He might have gotten cheated. We don't know. But he did not make it. And he has been leading the people to stand up with their power of doing what is called censuring bad government actors in the Republican Party. Why? Because we got rhinos in the Republican Party who seem to be involved in a lot of shady conflict of interest, who are actually stopping the people from expressing their power. And they seem to be allowing the liberals to just take all the power and do what they want to do. And they say, well, we can't do anything because our hands are tied, even though they have the majority. So in other words, it seems that they're benefiting from what they're doing by allowing the power to slip into others' hands, and not create things to protect the people, or not impeaching people like Katie Hobbs. Christian Lamar showed the people how to censure. We got together, we did some notices to use the fundamental law to instruct the government. When the government did not follow the right way, he took that information, showed it to the people, and let them see where the government was making mistakes based on the Constitution and what they were supposed to do. When they did not do right, he censured the heck out of everybody. He went to legislative district after legislative district in order to set things in order, and then the people rose up and showed that they wanted to correct their nation. And now we're seeing massive victory around the country because the precincts are realizing that they have the power to stand up as the people, and they have the power to reach people on a ground level. This is why correcting our constitutions and removing persons, the knowledge of that getting into the people's minds, will burn like wildfire across the nation and save our republic. We will also instruct the bad actors to stop all attacks on President Trump and to prosecute everyone who's involved with these frivolous attacks. Now, the republic belongs to us. The courts belong to us. The executive branch and the legislative belongs to us. If we are allowing people to use our offices to prosecute people unlawfully, guess who's to blame? When we know of the problem, we should freaking stop it. We should put a leash on our servants and not allow them to act like attack dogs. But if we allow this to continue, it is our wrong. It is our evil. And I don't think any of us can stand for that on our conscience. We need to turn, guys. We need to repent and apologize to God for pushing him out of everything, because he's at the middle of everything. He's in the middle of the law. They hid the word from us. They hid the Bibles. They hid prayer. They hid an understanding of those things which are wise in God's eyes. And now we don't have the tools to fight. He has allowed us to have them back. We need to use them. We need to understand them. We need to understand fairness and fix this stuff. This is what we have the power to do. We are going to organize and take massive action in the groups. If you are a precinct committeeman, you need to be there. If you are a politician, you need to be there. If you're just one of the people who are tired of all the wrong, you need to be there. If you know what they're doing to Trump and you see it's wrong and you know that it's not right, we need to stand up and get on it. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you, you see the Supreme Court has flipped. We had a lot of work to do in that. You see that they're now saying that Joe Biden's son is now accepting federal charges for things that he did wrong. Guys, let's understand that they are now realizing the people are standing and taking back the nation, and they're trying to give us a little bit to stop us from using our complete power. No way, Jose. When you see the people winning, when you see the victory, you step on the gas even harder. You don't take your foot off the gas at the end of the track when you're almost at the goal. When you are going to beat somebody, beat them. Because if you take your foot off the gas, you never know if your car will start acting funny and the other car will pick up steam and blow right by you. Don't play around with victory. Win and completely win. If you want to join us in this group, guys, to fix this and to handle business, there will be notices that we're doing in the group. There will be affidavits. There will be steps that we will take to come together and knock this down. You have the power to do it. Don't doubt. I have shown you in the law. You got this power. This belongs to you. It is yours. Don't let people take anything else from you. Let us take our nation back. Let us be victorious. I love you all. Please share this video everywhere. You guys are amazing. You are great. I thank you so much for taking this time to listen with me. You guys are beautiful. Let's win, guys. This is our nation.